Hi, this is Bob Papa, voice of the New York Football Giants, and this is the Big Blue UK and Ireland podcast.
Well, welcome back, Giants fans, to a new preseason interview series. And please welcome my very special guest for this episode, the one, the only New York Giants UK fans' godfather, the one and only Keith Burton. How are we doing, Keith?
Oh, great. It's nice to be here, Kev. How you doing?
Yeah, really, really good. I'm really glad we started to do this series, get some of the fans on, some of the content creators and, some of the lifeblood of the Giants UK and Ireland community on here and get to know them a bit better. So I think it's a really, really good way to do it. So in this new series, we're going to go with the fans and we're going to have 5 questions and then we're going to have a quick fire round of predictions. So you ready for it?
Ready. Let's do it.
Fantastic. So question number 1, how long have you followed the Giants? What year did you start? And how did the Facebook group come about?
I mean, all those 3 things are also mixed together. I remember watching NFL in the 80s, but not becoming a massive fan, not being massively invested in it, but remembering the 80s and remembering watching the Bears, especially, and also remembering watching the Parcells Giants. Yeah, Lawrence Taylor, Mark Bavaro, Bill Parcells, and then it kind of disappeared from the UK shores and disappeared from UK screens. But obviously then we get 2007, the NFL makes a big push to go worldwide. And there was a friend of mine, his partner at the time was into the UK American football scene. And she was affiliated with the Farnham Knights, who are literally the worst team I've ever seen. Like literally. We went to see them 25 times and they never won once. But she was like, you're going to get more out of this game if you follow a team. And so it's just like, I'd always loved New York. I've been going there, sent there by a previous company on business since 2001. And so I thought, yes, New York, I love New York. And then it's kind of, well, it's a toss up. Do you go blue or do you go green? And, it's just, again, I just had the memories of Bavaro, Lawrence Taylor, Carl Banks, Bill Parcells. Also the Giants, I had a memory of them doing something with the WWE back in the early 90s as well. Whereas the Jets, obviously, nothing about our lodges appealed to me at all. So, with the history and the tradition and everything else, it just seemed natural to go Giants. And so I became like a Giants fan, and I thought, well, I can't just do it on my own. Sport is a social thing, as obviously we all know. You are basically the social coordinator, the social maven for the entire UK and Ireland Giants fan community. So I thought, okay, well, this has got to be social. So I'll start a Facebook group because I couldn't find one for UK Giants fans. So I thought, all right, let's start a Facebook group for UK Giants fans, and it'll end up being 17 people, and we can all sit around and we can talk about Giants football. And suddenly there was a massive influx of people, and and you and Dan, you were kind of some of the first, and Andy, obviously our fellow admin, was one of the first as well. And so, I mean, I'm the one who lit the blue touch paper, but it doesn't catch fire without all of you guys. And now it's nearly 5,000 people are in that Facebook group, and there's another 4,000 plus on Twitter. So yeah, it's really sort of exploded, and it's great to see there are so many offshoots like the podcast, obviously, that you guys have taken hold of, and we don't own it, we don't claim ownership of it or anything, but we are partners of yours and proud of it. And offshoots like the UK, the US stateside trips. And the fact that we now have, obviously, Paul, our US ambassador, who's there in the tailgates to welcome curious and frightened UK fans when they arrive. And they're like, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, just go find the ambassador. He will sort you out. So, yeah, it's all the things kind of just happened at once, really. And I'm so glad it has. And it's all just gathered steam from there.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. I mean, like, as you were saying, like, this podcast was blossomed and sort of grew and started from the community and the friendships we made through that community. I mean, it was a godsend for me when I first started my fandom to have that safe space as well. And I will say that about the group, like, it is a safe space. And as we see more often now in social medias, X, places like that, how toxic they can be, and to be able to have that safe space to go and follow your team. And when we all first set out, we're not sort of experts. We haven't grown up with it. We're coming to it with new eyes, and we won't be 100% sure about everything. So like I said, just having that safe space to go to and be able to enjoy it is fantastic. Now, I would dip in out of the game day threads and just have a little nosy. I might not comment that much, but I love reading some of the interactions and some of the characters on there. I mean, like you said, you can't. If you're going to pick a team in New York, it's got to be Big Blue. That history is unbelievable. And just to touch back on the Facebook group again, you must be so proud of the community you have grown there.
I'd be proud and amazed in equal measure. And I'm glad you brought up the fact that it is a safe space, because I was very keen right from the very beginning. Is like, we don't need any toxicity. If you just want to go and swear and rant and post memes about opponent players being injured, okay, there's loads of dark corners of the internet where you can go and do that. But we wanted it to be so no swearing. You can vent your opinion, positive or negative, but no attacking other members of the team, and also no professional sellers either. And all those things combined, we wanted to make it a nice environment for young fans as well. So we're like, if we want to increase the popularity of the sport in the UK, we have to attract young fans. So we need to have a space where the parents will go, oh God, he's into the NFL. He's found a Facebook group, and they go, oh, actually, these guys look fine.
Yes, exactly that.
And the threads that you bring up, the game day threads, I mean, that's the most fun. I mean, I will tend to run the Twitter one and like post lots of memes on there. I do love a meme. And then Andy will tend to look after the Facebook and the Discord threads. And I'll kind of rotate between all three on game day. So you'll see me lobbing the odd verbal hand grenade into Discord and Facebook as well before I disappear off to post some more memes on Twitter. So it's great fun.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So let's talk a little football then. So before we get into the current season, how would you sum up last year's season? And no swearing.
No swearing. Obviously, it was pretty disappointing. But I mean, let's start. There are some takeaways to take away here, like Kayvon Thibodeau. 11.5 sacks. I've got it written down here. That's the most by a Giants defender since Leonard Williams. And the only other comparable one to those two was Jason Pierre-Paul back in 2014. Also, look at the emergence of Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, he came back from injury, and as soon as 60 passes, 525 yards. So there are bright spots to last season. It wasn't just a complete dumpster fire. Obviously, the big problem is Daniel Jones is our starting quarterback. He only played 6 games. And so we're relying on Saquon. But what can Saquon do? Because he's stuck behind it's not even an O-line. I mean, you couldn't even call it an O-line. It's just a row of turnstiles. And that seems to have been going on for a decade. I mean, we talk about, Daniel Jones is not the man. Daniel Jones is not the guy. It's like, was Eli any better behind the Giants, like, ridiculous levels of O-line? I mean, we seem to have been conducting an experiment for more than a decade now of, can you play pro football without an O-line? And no, it turns out you can't. And hopefully now we kind of sorted that out, because when we come to next season, we need to see a big improvement across the board offensively.
Yeah, definitely. And just to touch up on a couple of those points, I mean, I was listening to a podcast today with Tiki Barber, and he put all his credit down to the offensive line. Deal, Schubert, those type of players. Eli wouldn't have made it to Super Bowls without those O-line players in front of him. And like you said, John Murray even said it. We haven't done well by this guy. We haven't had a good offensive line. We haven't even had an average offensive line. They have been turnstiles, like you said. So if we can try and get some sort of stability and average play, a little bit above average play or something like that offensive line, I think we will see a very different Daniel Jones this year. And just to touch on Robinson as well, when he's fit and healthy, like you said, the end of last season, he looked electric. When he got the ball into his hands, he looked like he could do something. So some great points there about not to get too down on last year, and some positive things to think about this going forward. But let's just touch on Giants and Hard Knocks. What were your major takeaways from Hard Knocks, and any favorite moments for us?
I mean, I only saw clips, albeit extensive clips, but I didn't see any full episodes because I didn't have access to it. And on a moral kind of point of view, I'm not overly keen on just pirating stuff. That's a personal thing. No judgment on anyone that does secure things by illegal means. But I read, obviously, and I listened to everything that you guys, when you exhaustively broke down each episode. I was very interested to see how efficient Joe Shane's setup is. I mean, the way that we traded a number 39 pick, which is like bordering on worthless, and getting Brian Burns. You know, like who could we? Who could we have picked at 39 that would have had the impact that Burns will have? Nobody. The fact that we got to see more than just the coaches. So we always hear about the front office, the mythical front office. I mean, who the hell is that? Well, we got to meet some of them. We got to see some of them. We got to see that network of scouts as well. And that was very reminiscent to me of an old show that used to be on the NFL app and now isn't anymore, called Finding Giants, which was a series about scouts. And obviously it was the Giants, but any fans of any team could follow it because it was absolutely fascinating, because it was just like, these guys just living out of their cars. Once a year, they come to MetLife, they get given a whole new set of clothes, a whole new set of polo shirts and stay pressed slacks. And then they load them all up into the boot of their car, and off they go, tootling around the country. And they've each got their own like state, and they just find giants. They just find players. And it was nice to see more of those tireless workers down there in the engine room. And on a purely selfish point of view, I was glad to see that Joe Shane didn't really mess around too much with Saquon Barkley. He's like, this is what you're worth. I want more. We are not getting it. Bye. Because he wasn't worth paying. It's. I'm of the opinion using a number 2 pick on a running back is like using the number 2 pick on a kicker. I mean, everybody needs a kicker and everyone needs a running back, but you don't use a number 2 pick on one. He's injured all the time. It's like, get him off to the Eagles. I know everyone says he's going to get booed the hell out of MetLife when he comes back. He'll probably be injured by then anyway. He probably won't be playing. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, you're so right, though. It's so nice to see some of the behind the curtain scenes with Joe Shane with his team, and it's not just him on his ivory tower making decisions and that's it. He actually, takes in information from his inner circle. He discusses things with them, and you're right. He had a price point on Saquon Barkley, but he has values and morals in the sense that he doesn't believe in paying safeties or running backs a lot of money or high caliber money. It doesn't seem as like difference making type of players like edge rushers, quarterbacks, those type of players. So he had his price point. Saquon Barkley managed to get more in the open market, and he went and done that. And it kind of just reminds us all that it really, really is a business at the end of the day for a lot of these guys.
Yeah. I mean, he might say the right things at the end of his career and, be welcomed back. But, because, Bavaro went to the Eagles and that gets airbrushed out of history now. So we'll see,
Yeah, definitely. So without giving us a prediction, because we'll come to that in a little bit, what are your expectations and hopes for this coming season for the Giants?
Well, I've always been, and I remain a believer in Daniel Jones. Maybe that just marks me out as naive. I don't know, but I do, because I think the O-line is more important than everyone kind of credits in the modern game. It's all about the quarterback, but the O-line is arguably a more important position even than quarterback, because no part of the team can play without it, and we haven't had an O-line. So, but this is the second year this is the year that Daniel Jones has to prove himself, because this is the second guaranteed year. After this year, if he hasn't done it, the Giants can cut him with a relatively, in proportion, minor knock on the cap. So he has to prove it this year. He has to show that he's worth the big money. This is the second year of that 2-year deal. I'd say he's going to get back. I think last year was an aberration. I think he will get back to that 2022 when, we went to the playoffs and we beat the Vikings in Minnesota. I think we're going to see that guy again. Now, is he as wildly entertaining or charismatic as some quarterbacks? Well, no. Okay. But I mean, with the New York Football Giants, okay, a quarterback, we usually have Clark Kent as opposed to Superman. Okay. But it's done us okay in the last, we've won a Super Bowl in each of the last 4 decades. So, if he can stay in the pocket, stay fit, he can throw some bombs. And now he's got players to throw it to as well, like Malik.
You're 100% right. We have actually got weapons now, and I think it was Jim Harbaugh who made the comment about offensive line. The offensive line is the only position group that doesn't rely on anyone else to be good. Everyone else relies on them to do their job. They go out there and they do their job. A QB can't be a good QB if a bad offensive line. A wide receiver group, won't be able to catch passes from the QB if the offensive line doesn't do their job. So they're the only ones that go out there and actually, they make a massive, massive difference to a team. And I'm an optimist as well, like yourself, Keith. Like I said, he's my QB until he's not, and I am 100% behind bearded Daniel Jones. And I think keep him healthy, keep him upright. Dable calling the plays. I think we'll surprise a few people this year.
Exactly. That's what it is, reliant on that O-line, but I think the people that the front office must know that. And I maintain, as I have done since 2011, that this is the thing that we have to sort out, and then the rest of the team will click into place. This is the engine room. No ship runs without an engine. It's Star Trek. Who's the most important person on the Enterprise? It's Scotty. Well, that's Scotty. The show lasts about 4 episodes before the ship blows up. That's the most important person on the ship, and this is the most important unit on the field.
Yeah, completely agree. And I'm all here for the Star Trek references as well. Fair play. And so
make it so.
Yeah. So including both the draft and free agency, who will make the biggest impact for the Giants this season, in your opinion?
Well, I think I've mentioned them already. I think, it's on the defensive side of the ball. I think Burns. Yeah, Brian Burns, because you pair him up with you got Kayvon Thibodeau and you got Sexy Dexy as well. That is a fearsome D line. I mean, when's the last time we had a D line like that? You got to think back to the Super Bowl runs.
Mm-hmm. OC Tuck.
Yep, JPP. Yeah. It's that you got to think back to those guys. And if you look at there's been a study of Giants history. You look back to Carl Banks and Lawrence Taylor, and you look back to in the 50s, it were Rosie Greer. It's always been about the Giants' defense. We've never had superstars at quarterback. I don't really care. It's like the defense in the end. I mean, we won those Super Bowls because, especially the first one, the third one, the first one of the modern era, because the D line just scared Tom Brady so bad. He damn near pooped himself and didn't want to play anymore. He just couldn't play, Tell me when I'm lying.
Oh, 100%. And I'm loving this as well. Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, so Brian Burns, and obviously offensively, I'm going to look at Malik. I mean, that's the weapon we've been crying out for, I mean, when was it since Odell left stroke imploded? We haven't had that elite number one wide receiver, and we've got him now.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I'm kind of loving where you're coming from as well. That dominant defensive line and a solid offensive line. And now we have a genuine weapon for Daniel Jones. I think if you click on those 3 areas, I think we will have a successful season. But now time for predictions.
Right.
Are you ready?
I am.
Let's get on it. So predictions. Who will be the most valuable Giant on offense?
Malik Neighbors.
Nice and simple, straight there. So,
yep.
Most valuable Giant on defense?
Brian Burns.
Lovely. I'm loving the theme here. And a surprise package for the season.
I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say Daniel Jones.
I like it. I'm
going to say I think people are going to be looking at the end of the season and go, yeah, this is the guy.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I mean, how sweet would that be?
Yeah.
Right.
But all the people sneering at him because he is Clark Kent, not Superman. It's like he's not cool. He's not going to be on the front cover of Madden. He's not hip. It's like, I don't care. We're the Giants. We're supposed to be boring. Like I say, we play in wood panelled uniforms if we could. Let's have someone just it's like, it's just nice and boring, and a bit like Eli never gets injured.
I would love just to go out that first week against the Vikings in those century red uniforms and just grind out a really solid 31-24 win against the Vikings, something like that, and just look like the old school Giants of we go out and dominate both lines of scrimmage and get the job done.
Yep. Yeah, old school Giants. That's what we want to see.
I mean, that'd be beautiful.
Well,
So
how old school do you want to get? How old school do you want to get now? I mean, because it's like we could just say, screw the 21st century, screw the NFL Network, screw entertainment. Let's just go Parcells. Let's just win every game 6-3.
Oh,
let's just run the ball on every single play, and let's just run the clock down and run the clock down and run the clock down. And if the opponents ever get on the field, we send out some defense to just get the ball off them in 3 snaps, so that they're 3 and out, and then we just get back on the field and we just run the clock down and run the clock down. It's everybody would be imploding, and those us old school fans were going, "Yeah, this is football. This is the way it's supposed to be played." 4 yards of a cloud of dust. That's what it's supposed to be.
Brilliant. Right. So now I need to get the big one. The big one. Keith, the Godfather, UK Giants fans, talk to me. Team record for the season.
Well, my entire conversation with you has been upbeat, although that's normally when you and I get together, we're always upbeat and like that anyway. But so I'm going to go positive. I'll say a winning season.
Fantastic.
All right. So I'm saying 9-8. 10, I mean, I did think 10-7, but let's go 9-8. We're in a tough division. We're in a sort of wood chipper of a division. It suddenly went from being the worst to being the toughest again, back like it was in the 80s. So 9-8, winning season, and we sneak into the playoffs.
There we are, ladies and gentlemen. He has absolutely called it. A winning season for the New York Giants. That is absolutely fantastic. Well, that's us done with the questions now. So thank you so much, Keith. But before you go, I know we've talked about the face group a little bit. Just let the people out there know where they can congregate for some really, really good Giants talk. Yeah,
of course. So if you're new to the Giants fan community in the UK, if you're new to the New York Giants and to NFL, and you've picked it all up from the podcast that the guys do, then very much at NY Giants Fans UK on Twitter, Discord, Facebook, even Threads, just as a hedge our bet in case Twitter finally implodes. Then we're at NY Giants Fans UK on all of those. We're kind of the base camp. We're not the only place, but we're the base camp where everything else kind of springs off from. And as I say, it's a child-safe environment. It's an environment where we just talk football. That's what we do. We just talk football.
Brilliant.
And everybody's welcome.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Keith. Thank you for coming on and doing this series. Really, really chuffed to have you on. So everyone out there, thank you for watching. And until next time, go Giants.
Go Giants.